Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a weekly message from Jesus. Each week, I try to channel his words, his magnificent words, and I try to bring them to you as best I can. Each week, his messages are incredible. I truly wish we could reach more people, so we just have to keep trying. So our Father is here, so let us begin. Hello, everyone. Yes, I think one of the key words that I might want to speak about this week is perseverance. You have to keep trying. You cannot let the world get the best of you. The world that you're living in today is the most complex world that humans have ever had. Ancient times were very difficult. The time that I walked the earth, it was a very difficult time. There was no technologies. I couldn't get a microphone and speak to as many people as I wanted to speak to. The Romans were very evil people in many ways. They provided for their citizens very well. But if you crossed their teachings, went against their belief structure, you had a problem. When I went against the Jewish faith, and I didn't think really they were as truthful as they should have been, I created a problem. Now, I knew I had to create a problem because it was my time. The Romans put me on a cross and tortured me and killed me. Now, there are still places in the world where they will torture and kill you as well if you speak against the leaders or speak against the people that are trying to control all of the citizens of that country. So, as I mentioned many times, in many ways, things really haven't changed. Things are still difficult now, and they were difficult in my time. But they're different. You are now faced with technological advances that challenge you. Those of you that have phones, cell phones, and most of you do, you realize how difficult it can be. The companies may do a so-called upgrade and everything changes. The companies, they're literally only worried about one thing, and that is getting as much of your money as they can. That's not much different. The Jewish faith in my time, they tried to take as much money as they could from us to support the temple. Romans, they issued taxes. Throughout time, money has pretty much been the real problem of things, hasn't it? Everyone wants more money. And many of you certainly need more money just to pay your bills and to feed your families. But you've heard the saying, money is the root of all evil. I've told you many times that some of the richest people in the world are some of the most unhappy because their vast wealth creates huge problems for them. Their children are taught that their children are special. Yet in my eyes, everyone is equal. Everyone's soul is equal, and especially when you return to heaven. And trust me when I tell you, the richest people in the world and their children will all return to heaven. So they may think they're special, but when they return, they're going to find out the great equality, the great truth that all souls are truly created equal. When the founding fathers of the United States tried to begin this new idea of democracy and freedom of religion and freedom of choice, they faced a terrible problem. Great Britain did not want to give up control. Well, evil doesn't want to give up control in you as well. Evil's been around since I created it. Yes, I created evil, but I also created all the means you have to defeat evil. I put a spark of energy in your hearts. If you use that spark of energy, it will lead you to a path where you can defeat evil. It's always there. It's always trying to hurt you. It's always trying to lead you away from me. And evil people are always trying to take what wealth you have. Many people with great wealth think everyone is trying to take it from them. And that creates vast problems for them because now they're taking countermeasures And they're worried that somebody's going to take a couple dollars of their billions of dollars worth of wealth. So wealth can be a great thing if you use it to help others, but it can be a terrible thing if you use it to simply destroy your peaceful life. Perhaps there's a happy medium, a place where you have sufficient wealth and some left over to help others, but not enough that everyone's trying to steal it. Of course, if you go to the inner cities where there's much poverty, there are people that will steal a dollar if they get a chance. So I guess my premise there wasn't as good as it should have been. So what can you do? You can do what I ask you to do each week: build a foundation of faith, draw closer to me, and understand the truth. The truth is that you need money to pay your bills. There's no way around that. But do not let the desire for money get carried away with you. Get what you need to exist. Get what you need to cover any eventualities, to have a decent retirement. But don't let the thirst for money destroy you. Many people want to take from others. There are many ways that you can earn money. Now, it seems like there are times that you can't find employment, that there are depressions going on. So yes, there are many times that earning what you need to live is a great problem. In the United States during the Great Depression, there were people that were starving to death in this great country. There were problems with the weather. They couldn't grow crops. There were problems with finding jobs. People were not hiring because they weren't able to sell their goods. There's a vicious spiral that can take place in your modern economies. People have got to have the money to buy the goods. If they don't have the money to buy the goods, people can't afford to make them. They can't afford to make them. They can't afford to hire employees that give them the money they need to live. So you're in a complex society. The more that you draw away from self-sufficiency, the more dependent you are upon the economy. All of you have automobiles, so you depend on them for transportation. But if something happens and you can't get gas, those automobiles are worthless. So you're probably all wondering where I'm headed with this morning. I'm headed towards the need for you to have self-dependency, to do all of the things that you need to find your personal happiness, to do all of the things you need to provide the money that is required for you to live out your life. So how do you do all this? Well, you do your best. I tell you, you need to do your best. Now, sometimes your best is not going to be good enough. In prior lives, you might have created karmas that are working against you. Maybe you had great wealth in a prior life, and your life plan says that you're to live in poverty. Well, guess what? You're going to have a lot of bad luck, and you're going to live in poverty because you must truly understand it. So maybe that bad luck that you're referring to is actually a gift, because now you understand what it's like not to be able to help others and maybe not even able to pay your own bills. So make the most of all of your assets. Make the most of yourself. Trust in me. Pray to me, and I will give you guidance. That guidance will give you the best direction that you can have in your life. Your life is full of speed bumps. There are many problems that are going to slow you down, that are going to trouble you. You're going to have grief. You're going to have pain. And in the end, you're going to die and you're going to come home to heaven and learn all of the lessons that you learned in that life and all the lessons that you failed to learn. So everything is just as complex, probably as complex as it can possibly be for a human. I didn't design humans to have simple lives. I needed a place where people came to learn lessons. And Earth is it. You're all living very complex lives. I'm allowing technologies to make your life even more complex. because humans have got to grow. They have got to grow intellectually. They've got to grow with their educations. Technical problems. Okay, I think we're back. My screen just went black there. I'm assuming everything is okay. So what I was saying, you are having many technical problems. You just saw one. Maybe that was a coincidence. Maybe I had a hand in it to show you how you have to be able to adapt when you have a technical problem. You must do what you need to do to exist. Now, I'm not saying that you should steal from others, but you must know when you need others for help. There are many people that can help you. There are many places where if you're homeless, you can get help. Many religious institutions have great charities. Many institutions of faith will help you. But if you are having a terrible time with your life and you've drawn away from me, then maybe you should see the light of God. It is time for you to draw closer. And as you draw closer, we will try to help you. Maybe the problems that you're having, maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe it's because you've drawn away from me and there is no help. All of these things you have learned to understand through the words that I bring you. I come to you each week and I try to tell you what you need to do to improve your life. I try to tell you all of the things that you need in order to draw closer to me. But all you need to do is pray. Ask me for help. Ask me for all of the things that I bring to anyone that asks. I love everyone. I've told you this many times. I love everyone. I love every soul. I even love those that speak against me. I even love the Satanists, the ones that have followed the evil energies that I've created. But I do not love what you do. I do not love the actions of drawing others away from me. When you do this, you're creating a bad karma. When you try to draw people away from me, you are harming them. You are harming yourself as well. But when you draw people away from me, then you are harming those individuals because you are taking them away from the benefits of knowing me. All of you who are listening, all of you know the benefits of loving God and drawing close to God. All of you that are listening have major problems in your lives, but that is part of being a human. But all of you that are listening, you know the path to try to find out how to draw closer and how to try to solve your problems. So on this day, when you're listening to my words, take time to contemplate. Take time to contemplate if you're doing things wrong, if you're doing things right. Contemplate the perseverance that it takes to live a human life. Concentrate on knowing what you need to do. And what you need to do is simply to ask me for advice. My advice is always available through prayer. You can speak to me directly. You can speak to all of my Holy Spirits, all of my angels. You can do all of the things that will make your life better. When I come to you each week, I try to bring you a simple message. When I walked the earth, I brought you a simple message. I spoke of love. I never spoke of fear of God. You will never hear any accurate writings that describe me speaking of fearing God. You should fear what you do in your life because that will affect how you are treated when you return to heaven. But I never spoke that you should fear God. God is something you should only love. God is never anything to fear. If the faith that you're following is telling you to fear God, they are not speaking my words. When I walked the earth, I said, live a good life, help others, show love, do all of the things that you know are common sense, and you will join me in heaven and participate in this incredible miracle. I told the people that it was a dimension that they cannot comprehend. I told them that heaven is all around them. It is this place that they cannot see. I told them that when they die, their souls will go and enter this wonderful place. And how they are treated, how they are accepted in my heaven, will depend on how they live this life. All they have to do is be a good person. It's really that simple. You can take all of the Gospels that have ever been written and compile the information, the source information, the source code for you intellectuals. The source code is simply living a good life. It is not doing anything to anyone else you do not want done to yourself. I tell you this every week because it is the basic foundation. If you are doing everything to yourself that you want, or doing everything to others that you would not want done to yourself, you are making a mistake. If you are harming others, if you're swearing at them, if you're showing anger, you do not want that shown back to you. So why do you do it to others? If you instill hatred in others, they're going to hate you. There is no advantage to you being hated. You need to be loved, and you can be loved only by showing love. When you show hatred, you will bring hatred. When you show love, in all probabilities, you will bring love. Now, there are very evil people out there that often take love as a sign of weakness. It's not. It is a sign of ultimate strength because you have done what God has asked you to do. You've shown love. If they take advantage of that love, then they're creating their own bad karmas. That is not on you because you have done your best. I want you to show perseverance in doing all that you can do for others. I want you to show perseverance in not having any doubts about my existence, even as you're going through all of the great turmoil that life will bring you. When someone dies close to you, do not say, God, why have you allowed this to happen? That was part of that individual's life plan. Death is inevitable. It's going to happen to everyone. There will be a time that Barry can no longer speak to you because he has joined me in heaven. As you grow older, you understand better the certainty. When you're young, you think you're invincible. When you're young, you think you're going to live forever. But there are many young people that find out the hard way this is not true. In wartime, think of all the wonderful young people that are killed because leaders cannot get along with one another. Because a dictator wants more land. They have no fear of sending others to their death. But you know who fears death the most? Those leaders, because they think they have the most to lose. Well, they may think that in their mind. Power, great wealth, they may consider that the ultimate in what they have to lose. But I am here to tell you that the ultimate in what you have to lose is your faith. If you lose your faith in me, then you have lost your faith in God. And when you lose your faith in God, you have lost everything. Because now you no longer have a pathway to follow. Now you can no longer ask me for help. Now you can no longer do all of the great things that faith brings you. Look around at those who don't believe in me. Do you think they're happier than you are? I can guarantee you they're not. Because those of you that have truly found me have found love. Those of you that have truly found me have found happiness. And those that you have truly found me know the perseverance and the glory that living a good life will bring you upon the time when you come into my house, into my heaven. Heaven is your ultimate reward. I told the people that walked with me that, and I tell all of you that as well. Heaven is the great reward. You may not believe it. You may fear death. Do not fear it. I tell you all the time that your day of passing is going to be the greatest day in your life. I tell you all the time that to know me is to bring the greatest joy. Those that you don't know me, you know the fulfillment. I bless all of you each week, and I bless all of you at this time. Thank you so much for being who you are. Thank you for living the good life. Thank you for listening. Thank you for understanding my love and translating that into the love that you pass to others. So goodbye. Have a blessed week. Thank you so much. And I will bring you another message next week. Goodbye. Very powerful. He does it every week. Thank you all for listening. Tell as many of others about us as you can. We are going to do this as long as we can, but I fear it might be growing shorter than I would like it to be growing. So pass on the love, tell others. We have well over 1,100 shows for you to listen to. Goodbye and have a blessed week.